That's still going on in some parts of the world. These 30-minute showers in the Middle East, people talk about, where you get the highly conservative people that really clean up. But with regard to fascism, I've been very interested in fascism, of course, because it's over there on the extreme pole of conservative end of things. It's got all the components of conservatism in writ large. And so I've been interested in the origin of fascism in Germany and in Italy and Japan about the same time. The three big fascisms. There've been some other fascisms too. But a recent study, you'll be interested to know, has looked at infectious disease in German regions, cities, in relation to voting for Hitler's party, Nationalist Socialist Party. And the way it works is, so he has data from 1918 to 1920, the number of Spanish flu cases in all these German.
I never thought about Spanish flu as a contributor, because that came right after World War I, of course. And
right after World War I.
It was one of the things that devastated an already devastated Germany.
In the world in general.
Yeah.
Germany was really hit hard by the Spanish flu, as Italy was too. And what this guy did, he got data. There's a data collection managed by the University of Michigan on the data from Third Reich and before the Third Reich became officially a Third Reich in Germany. And these data include the number of cases of death due to Spanish flu in all these German cities. Also, they got number of deaths from plague and tuberculosis and so forth too. Tuberculosis was still a big problem by that point too. It wasn't just Spanish flu, but Spanish flu was the main killer, but tuberculosis probably number two. Plague wasn't a big a deal by that point. So these data have number of votes in these different cities for the Nazi Party. They have the number of votes for the Communist Party and number of votes for various things. So the Communist Party was considered extremist then, as was the Nazi Party. And the votes are from, the years 1930 to 1933, I think. So the critical years for the rise of, for really Nazism to get big there. And the more people dying from the Spanish flu in 1918 to 1920 in a city, the greater the vote for the Nazi Party in 1930 to 33. So that's a connection that was of interest to me. And this paper is just, it's recently appeared.
Any idea about the size of the relationship? And what about economic, are there confounds of economic well-being in the cities?
Very important. He was able to control through the same data set for employment in those cities and for average wages in those cities, two variables related to economic state. I mean, that's the traditional thing. Historians will tell you, well, the Germans were so economically distraught that they bought this stuff, But the parasite stress theory values adds a new mirror here, I think, for fascism. In Italy, I've searched and searched for data on flu death in Italy, but I don't think there's going to be anything like it. For some reason, the Third Reich has collected lots and lots of data, and somehow University of Michigan, I don't know the history of the acquisition by the University of Michigan of these data, but it is a reliable data source that is used now in sociological and research.
Now, you studied other elements of parasite stress theory too. Its relationship with altruism, its relationship with human cognitive abilities.
Yeah. So we did study of IQ in relation to parasite stress, and across the world and across the states of the U.S., and that worked out very well. The thinking was simply that if you've got you think about the human immune system, it is tremendous. It's everywhere in the body, and it's a very, very costly system in terms of energy and in terms of tissue to make and maintain this immune system. Humans have this huge brain too, very sophisticated nervous system that is very costly. So we assumed that these two components of the body, immune system and nervous system, would trade off. And so under high infectious disease, you got to make a good immune system or you're going to die. But that's going to cost you in terms of neural development and so forth. So we predicted that more infectious disease, lower IQ. Predicted it for across regions of the world, countries and states. And so we went to the IQ literature, which is massive. That's a big topic in psychology, as you know, study of IQ. And there were data for essentially all the countries of the world, and there were data for the states. And we pulled those and looked at the predictions, and the predictions were met for both across national predictions, about 0.8 between parasite stress and IQ. More parasites, lower IQ, about 0.8. For the U.S., it's about 0.7 U.S. states. 50.
Within states?
Yeah, between the 50 states. You take average IQ.
Okay, so let's pull back just a bit for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important for everyone who's listening to realize just how important a role infectious disease actually plays in the shaping of human evolution, cultural evolution included. So, for example, there are estimates, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Thornhill, but there are estimates that 90 to 95% of the native inhabitants of North and South America died as a consequence of contact with Europeans because of the transmission of measles, smallpox, and mumps primarily, although they were also prone to many other diseases that were brought in by the Europeans, who had lived in tight packed cities, often with animals as close companions, had what would you say,